Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Burney are taking a look at race number 10 at Churchill Downs on Saturday afternoon. It's the Grade 3 Iroquois Stakes. It is part of the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series. It is a win and you're in for the Sentient Jet Juvenile. Let's take a look at this field. It is a big field. It's an evenly matched race. Matt, we'll take this group in post position order, and the number one, Mr. Wrenchit, is 30-1 on the morning line, despite being the only horse in the race with a prior win around 2 turns on dirt.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for him and the connections, the knock against this horse is he's just not very fast. He's gone out 4 times. He hasn't done anything really wrong. He's 2 for 4 lifetime, and you brought up the fact that he has a victory going 2 turns. But at the end of the day, you're going to need to hope that the Lasix going on brings him up significantly, because he pales in comparison to some of the main contenders in here.
Has a little bit of pedigrees by looking at Lucky from the family of Hollywood Derby winner Olympio, but you're right, his Beyer speed figures do pale in comparison to those of the top contenders. He might need a little bit of a pace collapse and a lot of improvement. The number 2 is Royal Earn, who won his career debut sprinting at Gulfstream Park in solid fashion. He's by Cantharos, and when we think Cantharos, we think sprinters, but this dam is a half-sister to a graded stakes winning turf router named Smart and Classy. I think the mile and a 16th will be within this horse's scope, and he should show speed from this inside post.
Yeah, it's nice to know that he's already shown the ability to sit just off and make a move going past horse, which is something that 2-year-olds this time of year, it still kind of remains to be seen for many of them. The 4th place finisher, I'm a little bit concerned about the overall quality of that field. 4th place finisher came back and earned a 51 Beyer. You brought up an important piece for me anyway when talking about this horse. The dam side, there's more turf than anything else. And when I see Cantharos, not only do I think sprint, I think turf sprint. I wonder if ultimately that's going to be his game.
The number 3, Drunk as a Skunk, has run twice sprinting. Is going to stretch out for the first time. Nice to see that he showed some improved speed in his second lifetime start. And while he only earned a 50 Beyer speed figure graduating at Prairie Meadows, the runner-up came back to improve his Beyer to a 65 when a next out second place finish at Remington Park. He's by Midnight Loot. The second dam was a very classy horse. The multiple graded stakes winner, Spun Sugar.
And, you know, like you say, the only thing when I first looked at him, I said, boy, he's just slow on paper. But then that runner-up came back and earned a 65 in the next start. So that at least gives me reason to think that perhaps you're going to get a forward move from him here. I don't think the 2 turns will be an issue. I'm a little bit unsure about running style with him. He won that most recent run in gate-to-wire fashion. I can't imagine him making the front in here. I think there's some other speed that'll keep him company. Now he's just going to have to answer that class test. Is he this good?
Timeform US agrees with your assessment on the pace. They don't have the 3, Drunk as a Skunk, on the lead, but they do have the morning line favorite, the number 4, Tight 10, out there with the 5, My Sixth Sense. That red bar, you'll note, indicates that our friends at Timeform US believes that the pace will be fast in the Iroquois. I would expect Tight 10 to be on the lead. This horse has sprinted twice. He's set some fast paces in both of those races. I thought he ran just fine in the Saratoga Special. When you look at his pedigree, he's by Tappet, a full to All in Fun, a stakes placed horse at a mile and a 16th. He should get the trip for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, no question about it. And also the other big piece that we just have to call a spade from a figure standpoint. He lays over this field. If you think that the 2 turns isn't going to be an issue, and as you alluded to, he has the pedigree that would suggest not going to be an issue, it is worth noting, All in Fun, she was a nice turf runner, not necessarily on the main track, but he's done nothing wrong on the main track so far. I think in many ways he is just way the horse to beat in here. And even if he has some company up front, I just think he's a little bit more battle tested. He threw it down with Call Paul, and he wasn't embarrassed. Thought that was a fine effort. I just think he's way the horse to beat.
The 5 is My Sixth Sense. Could offer a little bit of value at the 10-1 morning line. This is a son of Street Sense. The dam was a stakes place dirt sprinter, so a nice combination in the pedigree. Stamina over speed. And according to Timeform US, this horse laid down some heavy fractions in his career debut, going a demanding 7 furlong debut distance, and he went on to win. He is a full to Sweet Reason, a multiple grade 1 stakes winner.
Yeah, also a half to don't forget Gill, who's graded stakes winner on turf and also grade 1 placed on dirt. You know, there's a scenario where this horse might be, like you say, the value in this spot, because you may get some sort of middling price on a horse that from a pedigree standpoint has every right to appreciate this and to move forward. Again, it goes back to one of those things, and you don't know until they do it. He won that first race in gate to wire fashion. I want to know what happens in a spot like this where he's unlikely to make the front. Can he sit and be as effective?
The 5th place finisher from his career debut came back to beat the horse that Drunk as a Skunk beat back on August the 10th. He earned a 68 Beyer. Nice formulator fact for Mark Cassie. Past 4 years, 2-year-old maiden winner, debut winners, coming back in the second start on dirt, 28% winners and a $2.70 ROI. We expect My Sixth Sense to be close to the pace. We expect the number 6, Tobacco Road, to be coming from off the pace. Now, he has won 2 starts at 7 furlongs. I like the gradual progression in distance for the son of Quality Road, and he's got a big distance pedigree. A half to Isabella Sings, a graded stakes winner going long on the turf. The Dam was stakes placed on turf overseas, going 10 furlongs. But I don't know what you thought about that Ellis Park Juvenile. I didn't think it was a strong field, and I thought he got a good setup.
Yes, I mean, so far it's been really, really difficult to look at that and say too much positive. You've had 3 horses specifically come out of that. The fourth, fifth, and sixth, excuse me, those finishers have come back to earn 39, 46, and 23 Beyers, one of those coming on the turf. It's difficult for me to look at it right now and say that's too productive, but at the same time, to be fair, the top 3 were 12 lengths clear of the rest of the field. You brought up Isabella Sings, you brought up the Dam. This one is also a half to Alara Michelle, who was a multiple turf stakes winner. There's a part of me that wonders, I understand the Quality Roads hit or miss as far as the grass is concerned. I wonder if down the road this horse's game is going to be grass.
Pole Setter, the number 7, has won around 2 turns, but that was on turf at Ellis Park. This will be his dirt debut. He's going out for a great trainer in Brad Cox, and he's got some dirt pedigree. Take Charge Indy, the sire. The Damn Irish Smoke was more of a sprint type, but she was a grade 1 stakes winning sprinter as a 2-year-old, and Pole Setter has already proven around 2 turns. I like the blinkers on. I like the fact that this horse can sit from off the pace and past horses, and he's got a bullet workout at Churchill Downs. He's got a little bit of a shot here at 6-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, I've no reason to think that the main track's going to be a problem. You brought up Irish Smoke. She won that spin away as a 2-year-old. Take Charge Indy. I have no issue there from a pedigree standpoint. The blinkers going on, perhaps that keeps him a little bit closer to the pace. Because, look, I understand he was sitting just off of fast fractions 2 starts back, but he's going to be facing a much quicker pace early on if he's going to stay within range. To be honest with you, he has the 2 turns. He's run at different tracks. I don't really have any knocks about him other than the fact that maybe you're not going to get the price that you deserve considering you see the connections Cox and Giroux.
Cairo Cat improved switching to the main track. He won an off-the-turf maiden race at Saratoga from off the pace. That running style can be very beneficial in a spot like this, and he beat a pretty nice turf horse that day. That 3rd place finisher came back to win the grade 3 with anticipation on turf while still a maiden for Todd Pletcher with a 78 Beyer speed figure. Nice professional performance for Cairo Cat. In between horses, swung out, and then game in between late.
Yeah, and you get the Lasix here for the first time. I think there's a scenario where this is another horse, takes advantage of the pace that's thrown at him in front. Like you say, he defeated a nice horse in that most recent run that was off the turf. I don't think the 2 turns are going to be a problem for him. And again, if you're looking for a horse that's going to be a very square price, I'd imagine you're looking at double digits at least. I think Cairo Cat is interesting.
Positive formulator fact for Kay McPeak over the past 4 years with 2-year-old last out maiden winners on dirt, 29% winners, and a $3 plus return on investment. The number 9 is Manny Wah, and while we aren't fans of the Ellis Park Juvenile thus far, I think you can argue that Manny Wah ran one of the better races, if not the best race in defeat, because he was up on that very fast pace throughout and was really the only part of the pace still hanging around at the wire. Now, we'll see if he's going to be able to handle another pace battle at a longer distance, but this Dam was a stakes winner at a mile on turf.
Yeah, and that's kind of an important piece for me. We'll find out what the Will Take Charge babies end up being and what they ultimately want to do. This one's only victory to date came on synthetic, and you brought up the turf stakes victory for the Dam. There's a part of me that wonders if ultimately he's going to be better on an artificial surface or on the turf. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. He did a lot of work in that Ellis Park Juvenile, and I don't think you want to write him off just based on that one effort.
The 10 Hog Creek Hustle is a son of Overanalyze, and he is a half to the stakes-winning turf sprinter Majestic Dunhill. I wonder if this is a little bit too much too soon. They're asking him to stretch out 3.5 furlongs in only his 2nd lifetime start. I mean, this horse was flying in the late stages of his debut to win at Ellis Park. It looks like he has some potential, but boy, they're asking a lot here.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we've talked about it in the past. It's one thing; it doesn't necessarily translate when you see a late running closer going short on the main track. Doesn't necessarily translate to two turns. I'm not suggesting that's going to be the case here, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. For what it's worth, there was a 10-horse field that day, and the last place finisher is the only one that's run. Came back and won next out with a 56 buyer. I don't know what everyone else between this horse and the last place finisher is going to turn into, but so far that race has come back so far decent.
The number 11 is Synthesis, and while still a maiden after 4 lifetime starts, he should have the requisite bottom to stretch out because he has had those 4 races. Plus, he was just simply overmatched last time out against one of the best 2-year-olds in the entire country in Instagrand. His Beyer speed figures are pretty solid. This is a tough outside post, but I think he'll get some pace to run at.
I agree. I think he's going to be one of those stayers. I think the distance isn't going to be an issue for him. And look, you brought it up. Some of the horses he's been facing much, much better runners. You see Instagram's name. You see Royaton's name 2 starts back. Those are some of the better 2-year-olds out on the West Coast. Look, Keith DeSormo, he ships them when he thinks that there's an opportunity. He gets 2 turns here. Maybe he gets inferior company as opposed to what this horse has been facing in Southern California. He's another one. I think the distance isn't going to be an issue.
I always like to give extra credit to horses, 2-year-olds that graduate at 7 furlongs. The 12 Everfast won at that distance at Ellis Park, and he's bred to go on. Son of Take Charge Indy, the dam a full sister to Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner Wilco. I realize it's a terrible post position. Dale Romans, good formulator facts with these kind of horses. Debut winning 2-year-olds over the past 4 years. When they come back second out on dirt, they win 40%, $3 ROI. But again, tough post.
Yeah, the post is really the thing that kind of turned me off for him. But to be honest, he is one of the more interesting horses in this race to me because let's say even if he doesn't win, let's say he runs well with that outside post and he has to carry ground. He's going 2 turns for the first time. I could see myself getting interested in a horse like this going forward, whether it's Breeders' Cup time or next year as an early 3-year-old.
Pick time for the Grade 3 Iroquois Stakes, race number 10 at Churchill Downs on Saturday. You're going with the Fig horse, the 4 Titan. He's run great twice.
I mean, I hate to just kind of chalk out like that and go immediately just to the Figs, but he has such a substantial edge on the rest of the field as far as numbers are concerned. And from a pedigree standpoint, this shouldn't be an issue for him. He's arguably going to work out a good trip. Unfortunately, I'm just going to chalk out. I went 4, 5, 6, 12.
I'm going to take a shot with the 7-pole setter. He usually is not my kind of horse, trying a new surface in a graded stakes race, but he has the connections. He's got the pedigree. He has already won at a mile. I'm hoping the blinkers keep him from being completely out-sprinted in the early portion of this race. Get him into the race a little bit earlier. It's kind of an inbred Cox I Trust situation here. 6-1 on the morning line for the 7-pole setter. I'm using a lot of your horse, the 4 Type 10 as well. 7-4. 8-10 for me in the Grade 3 Iroquois Stakes at Churchill Downs, part of the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series. A win and you're in for the Sentient Jet Juvenile. Best of luck.